27 years of captivity, decades of warning signs ignored, and one final tragic moment that shocked a nation. What really happened behind the scenes at Ocean Dome Marine Park on that scorching August afternoon? This isn't just a story about a fatal orca attack. It's a wake-up call about the cost of keeping wild animals in captivity. Stay with us to uncover the full truth and what it means for the future of wildlife protection. Where is he? I can't see him. Look carefully. He's under... Nakoa's not letting go. Somebody call 911. Get the divers down here now. This wasn't just a tragic accident. It was a warning ignored for years. If this story shakes you, good, because it's not the first time something like this has happened, and if we don't change, it won't be the last. But let's rewind to the beginning. What was meant to be just another show at Ocean Dome Marine Park in San Diego, a carefully choreographed dance between man and beast, perfected through years of trust and repetition, turned into a nightmare that left hundreds frozen in disbelief. It was the last day of trainer Sam Collins' life. In broad daylight, in front of a full arena, something snapped. And this wasn't just a tragedy, it was a wake-up call. Sam was only 28, young, passionate, and full of promise. Since joining Ocean Dome in 2016, he wasn't just another rookie. He was the heart of the team, the guy who stayed late caring for the animals, who volunteered for every early morning shift, who called every orca by name instead of number. But there was one orca who meant more than any other. Nakoa, a massive jet-black male captured off Iceland's coast as a calf, held in captivity for over 20 years. Many trainers feared Nakoa for his temper, his unpredictability, and danger. But not Sam. To him, Nakoa was misunderstood, a creature shaped by trauma, isolation, and confinement. Sam devoted extra hours learning his moods, refining signals and deepening their bond, believing humans and killer whales could connect beyond entertainment to something meaningful, even beautiful. Over time, Sam and Nakoa became the park's main attraction. Their electric bond left audiences speechless, with gravity-defying stunts and the affection they shared. Yet behind the scenes, worry grew. Nakoa was changing, and so was Sam. Towering over 20 feet long and weighing nearly 6 tons, Nakoa was a breathtaking sight. His sleek black and white body cut through the water like a missile. His breeches soaked the front rows, and his powerful tail slaps gasped crowds every time. Children screamed with delight, parents applauded, cameras rolled. On the surface, it was magic, a living marvel performing like a trained athlete, but few knew the dark truth. Nakoa was taken from the wild in 2001, a baby ripped from his pod during a controversial capture off Iceland's coast, never to see his mother again. His life was containment. Cold transport crates, sterile tanks, unfamiliar trainers, endless performances. For over 20 years, he was shuffled between marine parks like property, developing sores from poor water quality, grinding his teeth from stress, and floating motionless at the surface, logging, a sign of extreme psychological distress. Nakoa was involved in multiple incidents. In 2011, a trainer was pulled underwater during a session, narrowly escaping with a dislocated shoulder. In 2014, Nakoa refused to perform, circling the tank in agitation for over 10 minutes. Internal reports labeled him unpredictable, high risk, even difficult. But Ocean Dome needed a star, and as long as Nakoa stayed in line, he was exactly that. Yet beneath the show's glittering surface, the pressure was building, and the tragic consequences were looming. Whispers had spread among the staff long before the tragedy, rumors that something was deeply wrong with Nakoa. They said he'd started refusing food, becoming unresponsive to cues, and that the once curious spark in his eyes had faded into a hollow gaze that seemed to look right through you instead of at you. Yet the show went on, because behind Nakoa's majestic presence, a silent storm was quietly gathering strength over the years. Then, on a sweltering August afternoon, that storm finally exploded. This wasn't a single accident, it was the culmination of a pattern that began subtly but grew louder with each ignored warning. Just 6 weeks earlier, in early July, during what should have been a routine feeding, Nakoa suddenly lunged, his powerful jaws snapping shut mere inches from a junior trainer's arm. It was dismissed as playful excitement, a one-time fluke, with no injury, no harm done. But the signs worsened. Nakoa started ignoring even the simplest commands from Sam, like sliding out or spy hopping, often responding with agitation. Swimming erratically, diving deep, and racing high-speed laps around the tank. His tail slaps against the walls grew thunderous, echoing across the park. Some days, he refused to eat until late into the night. Unease spread among the team. Whispers turned to concern. 2 veteran trainers requested reassignment. One quit altogether, and another, who wished to remain anonymous, claimed she had filed multiple safety complaints to management, only to be met with a vague acknowledgement and no action. Then came a terse internal memo, barely 2 paragraphs long, marked for internal use only, which would later be leaked by a concerned employee. It warned trainers to limit close contact with Nakoa and to remain on stage platforms unless senior staff authorized otherwise. But that memo never reached Sam. Some say he was kept in the dark. Others believe he knew but chose to trust the bond they had built over years. Meanwhile, park executives stayed silent. No public statement, no change in the show schedule. Nakoa remained the star, tickets kept selling, summer crowds packed the bleachers, and Sam kept performing. But the next time Nakoa made contact with a human, it wouldn't be a warning. It would be a death sentence. Because by then, the warnings came too late. On August 14th, 2023, a blistering summer afternoon bathed Ocean Dome Marine Park in blazing sunlight. Over 800 spectators filled the stands, tourists, families, children clutching cotton candy, parents snapping photos. The 2:15 p.m. Orca show was the park's crowning jewel, the grand finale of a long day of family fun. Sam Collins stood barefoot behind the barrier gates, suited in his black wetsuit, smiling as the announcer introduced the closing act. It was a routine he had done hundreds of times. The rocket hop, a stunt that always drew cheers. Nakoa would dive beneath. Sam would position himself just right, and with a burst of power, launch 15 feet into the air. Sam waved to the crowd. Someone from the front row called his name. He smiled, nodded, and dove in. Beneath the surface, Nakoa circled, the music swelling as Sam floated in position, arms ready. Trainers on the sidelines gave the signal, pause, then movement. Nakoa surged up like a torpedo, but something was wrong. Instead of gently pushing Sam upward as rehearsed, Nakoa collided with him with brutal force, knocking him sideways underwater. To the crowd, it might have seemed part of the act, but the trainers knew instantly it was not right. Sam tried to recover, swimming toward the center of the pool, likely signaling for Nakoa to reset. But before he could reach the platform, the orca turned sharply, clamping his jaws around Sam's torso and yanking him under. The audience gasped, unsure if the chaos was real or staged, but horror quickly set in as water exploded with furious motion. Nakoa's surface still gripping Sam, screams piercing the air. Trainers rushed to the edge, blowing emergency whistles and throwing distraction devices, but Nakoa didn't relent. He dove again, pulling Sam down, only to burst through the surface, thrashing him like a rag doll. The water turned red. Parents shielded their children's eyes. Some ran, others froze. The park's loudspeakers cut from music to static, then silence. Backstage, emergency alarms blared as lifeguards and medics sprinted to the arena. A trainer armed with a long pole tried to wedge it between Nakoa's teeth, but the orca bucked violently, knocking her down. Nearly 7 agonizing minutes passed before Sam was freed, his body limp, his wetsuit shredded. Lifeguards dragged him to the platform, beginning CPR as others attempted to coax Nakoa into the medical pool. But Nakoa hovered motionless, blood circling beneath the surface. Paramedics arrived, but it was already too late. At 2:41 p.m., Sam Collins was pronounced dead on site. The crowd had long since been evacuated, some in shock, others sobbing uncontrollably. Within minutes, dozens of cell phone videos began circulating online, spreading the unthinkable tragedy in real time. In less than half an hour, a celebrated performance had spiraled into a fatal nightmare. Ocean Dome Marine Park shut its gates for the rest of the day, but the questions, outrage, and grief were just beginning to surface. The hours after Sam's death became a chaotic mix of silence and uproar. By the evening of August 14th, the incident was national news. Cable networks ran breaking updates. Headlines flashed across screens. Tragic orca attack in San Diego Marine Park. Trainer killed during live show. Killer whale strikes again. Yet Ocean Dome's official response was limited to a single-page press release distributed just before midnight stating, "We are deeply saddened to confirm the passing of one of our valued team members following an incident involving one of our marine mammals during today's performance. Out of respect for the family and ongoing investigation, we will not be commenting further at this time." No mention of Nakoa by name. No acknowledgement of prior warnings. No accountability. Behind closed doors, insiders revealed. Legal teams worked overtime. Damage control began before Sam's body had even been returned to his family. Staff were warned not to speak to the press. Internal emails were scrubbed. Safety reports vanished from public servers. Even the daily show schedule disappeared from the park's website by morning. But the internet doesn't forget. By noon the next day, shaky, grainy cell phone footage surfaced, taken from the bleachers, showing Nakoa dragging Sam under, screams echoing in the background. The lifeless body pulled from the water. Each clip was more horrifying than the last, watched by millions within hours. Hashtags trended worldwide. Justice for Sam, free Nakoa, ban marine parks. By the third day, dozens of activists gathered outside Ocean Dome's gates holding signs that read, "Captivity kills, blood in the water, and shut it down." Some were longtime animal rights advocates, others were locals shaken by the tragedy. Still more were former park guests vowing never to return. Park officials remained silent. No press conferences, no interviews, no public admission of the internal memo warning against close contact. But behind the scenes, something did change. Nakoa, once the star attraction, was quietly removed from the show roster. No announcement, no retirement ceremony, no explanation to the public. One day he was on the poster, the next he was gone. Rumors swirled. Some said he was transferred to a private holding tank. Others claimed he was being retrained away from public view. The park offered no comment, but for many, the silence spoke volumes. This wasn't just a tragic accident. It was a system built on silence, profit, and the willful ignoring of warning signs until it was too late. Sam Collins wasn't the first trainer to die in a marine park, and unless things change, he won't be the last. His death reopened a haunting chapter. One marine parks like Ocean Dome have spent decades trying to bury. In 2010, SeaWorld trainer Don Brancheau was killed by an orca named Tilikum in Orlando, Florida. Tilikum had a history linked to 2 prior deaths, but he remained on stage, performing for packed crowds until the day he pulled Don underwater and never let go. In 2009, Keo, a male orca in a Canary Islands marine park, killed trainer Alexis Martinez during a Christmas rehearsal. Internal reports later revealed Keo had shown aggression for weeks, warnings ignored, and in the 1990s, SeaWorld San Diego trainer Ken Peters was dragged to the pool's bottom by Kasatka. He survived barely. The attack, caught on tape, was buried for years before being leaked in a whistleblower investigation. Names change, parks change, but the pattern never does. Dr. Laura Myers, a marine biologist who spent 15 years studying captive orcas, summarized it best. These animals are apex predators, intelligent, emotional, and social, but also immensely powerful, beyond full human control. When confined to tanks, stripped of family, freedom, and environment, they begin to break down. And when they break, people die. Former Ocean Dome trainer Marcus Hayes echoed the warning in an interview. Sam loved that orca, and I believe Nakoa loves Sam, in whatever way a whale can love, but love doesn't cancel out trauma. That whale carried 20 years of pain behind his eyes. That show was a ticking time bomb. We all knew it. Some just didn't want to admit it. These aren't isolated incidents. They're red flags flapping in the wind. Yet parks keep selling the dream. Smiling trainers, dancing whales, splash zones, souvenir photos. Behind the smiles are scars. Behind the music are screams. Behind every ticket sold is a risk. A human life, an animal's sanity, a legacy of harm. Sam Collins is gone. But what happened to him must never be forgotten. Until the system changes, history will keep repeating itself. Captivity doesn't just kill people, it destroys orcas from the inside out. For decades, marine parks have sold the image of happy whales, the smiling faces, playful tricks, gentle splashes. But the truth is darker. Beneath chlorinated pools and rehearsed performances, wild orcas swim up to 100 miles a day, live in tightly bonded family pods, communicate in complex dialects, mourn their dead, and form lifelong relationships. In captivity, they swim in endless circles, float motionless for hours in unnatural logging, and over 90% develop collapsed dorsal fins, a sign of poor health found in less than 1% of wild orcas. They grind teeth, chewing metal gates from boredom and stress, suffer chronic infections, broken teeth, digestive issues, ulcers, and some self-harm. Rubbing bodies raw against tank walls, banging heads, refusing food. They are sentient beings trapped in bathtubs. Worst of all, many captive orcas have never seen the ocean. Born in concrete tanks, separated from their mothers too young, raised by humans, and taught to perform before understanding freedom. But there is hope. In recent years, marine biologists and animal welfare groups have proposed sea sanctuaries. Large, netted ocean coves where retired orcas can live with dignity, still cared for, but free from performances. There they can feel currents, watch sunrises and sunsets, and reconnect with nature at their own pace. It's not perfect and can't undo trauma, but it's a start, and pilot sanctuaries are already underway in places like Iceland and British Columbia. Progress is slow, but real. The question now isn't whether we can do better, it's will we? Every show, every ticket, every cheer feeds a system that values profit over life. He believed in the magic of human-animal connection, that orcas could trust us and that we could be worthy of that trust. But the system failed him, failed Nakoa, and fails thousands of marine mammals every day. Sam Cullen's story is heartbreaking, but it's far from isolated. Behind every tragic headline lies a deeper truth about the price wild animals pay when forced into captivity. These majestic creatures aren't just performers. They are sentient beings with complex lives and emotions, deserving of respect and freedom. The warnings were there for years, but profit and entertainment overshadowed the need for care and caution. We owe it to Sam, to Nakoa, and to countless others to demand change. Protecting wildlife means more than watching shows. It means understanding the cost of captivity and advocating for better, humane solutions like sea sanctuaries. When interacting with wild animals, whether in parks or in nature, we must exercise respect and caution, never forgetting they are powerful creatures with instincts shaped by freedom. Your awareness can help stop tragedies before they happen. Share this story to spread the message and support organizations working to protect and rehabilitate wildlife. Together, we can honor those lost by ensuring the future is kinder for both humans and animals alike.